What's something you tried once and instantly knew it wasn't for you? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. Gambling. I gambled for the first time against my cousins when I was around 13. I lost $100. That was a lot for me. Never gambled again since. Last time I was at a casino, it was on a work trip where we accidentally went to it because that's where the restaurant we Googled was. On the way out, I put $2 into a slot machine because I figured, why not? And lost 15 minutes trying to figure out how to operate the machine because the big lever on the side is just for show apparently. I didn't even get the satisfaction of pulling the arm and making the digital wheels go. I couldn't imagine sitting there for hours on end just pumping money into those things and watching screens. At that point, just download a video slot on your phone. Story 2. Sales. I don't like convincing people they need things they can decide for themselves. Don't want a phone? That's cool with me. My boss once questioned why I didn't try to push an iPhone 14 onto an old man who came in asking for advice on how to use his flip phone. Always loved that one. The only time I ever had good performance was when I got a lucky streak and the customers came in wanting something already. My answer was retail, but this right here is definitely a part of why I don't like retail. Trying to convince people to buy things they don't need doesn't sit well in my conscience. Story 3. I worked at a bank right out of college and thought it would be an awesome starter job. Then I learned that banks are essentially credit stores. I was repeatedly reprimanded for not selling more credit. So I tried harder. And I learned the only people who want more credit are those who can't get it. And the people who can get it don't want more. I quit without notice, and they told me I'm on the do not rehire list. I asked them if they could make that industry wide. I genuinely feel sympathy for anyone who works in a bank. I feel like they thought they were about to work some fancy finance job, but you're essentially a Walmart employee whose only product is credit. Story 4. Living with roommates. Cannot stand it. I'm fine living with a partner, family, or by myself. But a stranger? No thank you. I had a roommate once who seemed like such a sweet and innocent guy. He was 19, and it was his first time living on his own. It wasn't long before he started leaving poop smear underwear on the bathroom floor, using up all my dishes to the point where I had nothing to eat from because he'd kept them all in his room. When I asked for them, he'd dump all the dirty dishes in the kitchen and wouldn't clean them. He didn't do laundry. He would wait till he visited his mom once every 2 months so she could wash them for him. He started smelling so bad that I had to put a towel under my bedroom door so the smell wouldn't come in. It was horrific. Me and my partner had to tell his parents when they came to visit, and they were mad at me and my partner because we weren't understanding enough of a 19-year-old and should be patient. We ended up having to evict him. Story 5. Getting into management. No thank you. I assumed most other workers would be like myself. Like in an ideal world, it wouldn't be that bad, but you're literally responsible for everyone who doesn't give a crap, and all their messes are on you. I prefer being responsible for only myself. Life is so much better that way. I only got to like bottom management, and immediately I just hated my life so much. I've never been more sure I don't belong in a certain job. We'll never do that again. Especially when you know your team does a good job, but upper management just sees them as numbers that's costing them money. It's so nerve-wracking and frustrating because all you want to do is help your direct reports do their jobs, but you got your own neck on the line if you don't follow orders from upper management and lead how they want you to. Corporate jobs in general are dumb and unnecessarily cruel. Story 6. I once tried to be a morning person. We both agreed it wasn't going to work out. Alarm sounds genuinely have always given me anxiety. I started switching it up to songs, but then found the songs would give me anxiety, whether as an alarm or if it randomly played. Then I got a phone that came with an alarm ringtone preset that starts off as birds chirping, then soft music, a piano, I don't know, starts to play, that combined with the option of slowly increasing the sound as the alarm plays is the perfect combo for me, and I've used it for years now. It honestly changed waking up for me. I still get the occasional, "oh crap," but that's only when I don't wake up instinctively to the soft birds chirping and the music starts going. I'm also a pretty sensitive sleeper, so birds chirping has always woken me, and it's a lot less annoying as a ringtone for some reason. Anyway, Tulder Cool Bird chirp ringtone. It's called Huai Forest Melody HQ. Story 7. Telemarketing. Very early in my career, I was transferred across the country to another branch. I didn't know anyone and needed more money, so I took an evening telemarketing job. It was selling local newspaper subscriptions outside of their usual area. I managed 3 hours. Nobody working there had time to talk, and absolutely nobody wanted a non-local newspaper. I quit and a week later got a check for £6, about $10, which I didn't cash and kept for years as a reminder to focus on my main career. Story 8. Manual labor. My grandfather did construction. One summer, he hired me on one of the roofing teams. All it took was one summer running shingles up and down a ladder to convince me to stay in school. My dainty little 8 hands, thank you, Pop. Well played. I grew up on a farm, so I knew I didn't want to work hard from an early age. My grandfather really drove home the point one summer, though, when we had to clean the septic tank. I had to dig up the access points. He knew exactly where they were but told me he didn't. I ended up digging up the whole dang top of the tank. In 90-degree heat with high humidity in very rocky soil. I have heard that roofing is absolutely horrible. Wouldn't want to do it ever. Though I strangely don't mind certain types of manual labor. I hate the heat though. And unfortunately, I live in South Texas, so heat is the norm. Story 9. Jogging. I'm in good shape, so it wasn't solely for health reasons. My dog, who I used to go on long walks with, died mostly of old age. I wasn't ready to get another dog, so I decided that jogging would be a great hobby. Feeling connected to the neighborhood was a priority for me as I found myself staying at home a lot with no dog to walk. So I bought decent shoes, did a little research on methods, and started jogging just a few blocks a day at first to get into the groove of my new hobby. I hated every second of it. There was nothing relaxing or enjoyable about it at all. And I got home every night feeling like I was foolishly making taking a walk punishing rather than fun. About 2 weeks in, I stumbled and fell, scraping my hands up a little. I walked home, put my new shoes in a closet, and never jogged again. I adopted a new dog about a week later. Story 10. Teaching middle school. I taught high school for 19 years, moved states, and had to take a middle school position for a year. I instantly realized it was not for me. I thought, they're just a few grades lower, how different can they be? Completely opposite, exactly. I dragged myself into that school so exhausted and irritable every day. I quickly realized that one middle schooler with bad behavior equals 5 high schoolers with bad behavior. My humor went right over their heads. The misbehavior itself was a type of misbehavior I'm not used to. Also, high schoolers sleep. Middle schoolers scream. High schoolers will sometimes be apathetic. Middle schoolers throw things. High schoolers are developing the capacity to think before they speak. Middle schoolers shout whatever comes to mind. High schoolers bully each other online. Middle schoolers bully each other in person in front of a teacher's face. I have never gotten so many rude comments as I did when I taught middle school. Story 11. I hate living with people. Even my ex-husband might have other reasons. I just got rid of a terrible roommate. She was in a bad car accident, multiple leg fractures, broken pelvis, broken pubic bone, lacerated liver, and spent several months doing rehab. Her room was upstairs and the bathroom was downstairs, so it made absolute sense that in the early parts of rehab, she had a hospital commode chair in her room. She was using a walker or a cane to walk. Long after she was back to normal functioning, she kept using the commode chair and emptying the contents out her bedroom window onto the driveway. One day, she told me she had to pee so many times per night that she wet the bed instead of getting up. She had to wash her bedding almost daily. Hello water bill and electric bill. She took a 45+ min shower nightly. She lost or broke 14 forks, 7 spoons, a Thermopro thermometer, 2 Kate Spade dishes that are $30 each. She threw away my vacuum because it didn't work. The bag was full. She cut all the bird deterrent things off my fruit and vegetable garden. She didn't understand thermostats, so she would open her windows even though the AC was running. Story 12. Door-to-door sales. My trainer was sleazy as fuck and kept twitching us trainees to be the same. They had taken us out of the city to a nearby town, so we didn't really have a way to get home until the end of the day. There were 2 girls with another trainer who noped out after 30 minutes and had a friend come pick them up, which I had known so I could have gone home with them. I had a similar experience many years ago. Instead of sales, it was for an environmental organization called NYPIRG or something, here in New York. They basically wanted us to go door to door to get donations, I think, again, a long time ago, and drove us up the Hudson to this small town. We had a team lead who was in the van trying to pump us up and work on our raps of what we'd say to people. It was so miserable. She went to a couple of doors with us to show us how and then basically ditched us with a map and some paperwork and left us alone as individuals with our routes. I think I did like 2 houses and then felt so put off by it that I just kind of walked around in the woods nearby until pickup time and just faked the paperwork. I needed a job, and that was not a job. Horrible experience. I was super green at the time, but the lesson was learned. Story 13. I tried learning Python. Programming is incredibly abstract and difficult. My brain just couldn't proceed. I wish I was smarter. Update. Giving Python another go because the good people of Reddit provided awesome advice/guidance and resources. You guys are a wholesome bunch. Thank you. It ain't about smarts. Some people are incredibly intelligent and still struggle with all the abstractions. It clicks when you get a handle on all those different abstract concepts and start thinking in terms of what you need to accomplish. It's like driving a car. At first you think about pressing the accelerator, pressing the brakes, turning the steering wheel, but eventually all that turns into thinking about driving to the store. You can't really understand how until you understand the pedals and steering wheel, and then how they work together to make the car go somewhere. Eventually, you're just thinking about the route to get there. Just like in programming, you eventually just think of how to solve the problem, and writing code is pressing the pedals and turning the steering wheel. Story 14. IPA beers. I tried more than I should. Cannot get into them. Every now and then someone will say, "But you were going to like this one because..." I just say, nope, never met an IPA that I like. It seems like all the IPAs are taking over most of the taps places. Can that many people really like them? Or is everyone scared to be the first to say they suck, so they just keep buying them? I prefer them over other styles because one hits you nicely at like 8%, and the citrus notes are typically crisp and refreshing for me. Lagers make me feel really full, and Pilsners are hit or miss. Stouts and porters are seasonal for me, so damn good in colder weather. Sours make my stomachs ache. Belgians taste like old potpourri. Is that how you spell it? To me. Hazy IPAs taste way too sweet, and the texture of the mouthfeel ain't for me. IPAs were an acquired taste when I learned how to taste them. Whiskey took me a minute too. Granted, there's a lot of bullshit out there now, and I'm getting older. So I just find something I like and stick to it so I don't waste money on a maybe. Story 15. Oh Lord, this one still makes me feel awful. I was at the Houston Zoo with my wife. We were walking next to the giraffe enclosure, and I was deep in thought about how badly I wanted a corn dog, but how much I didn't want to pay the exorbitant zoo prices for one. We passed a young woman, maybe 22 or 23 years old, who had her shirt lifted and a massive belly button ring on display. This piercing was clearly infected and swollen, and I was pretty grossed out. I thought, God, we don't all want to look at your disgusting navel. Put your shirt down. My wife stopped walking and looked at me in shock, with her mouth open. The girl had stopped too, and was looking at me with a face full of pain and anger. I didn't get it for a few moments, and then it hit me. My mind was so full with thoughts of corn dogs and giraffes, I hadn't just thought the insulting comment, but actually spoken it. I went deep red with shame, and when I opened my mouth to try and apologize, not that I knew what to say, she just put her head down and brushed past me. I immediately regretted it, and my wife was furious and disgusted with me the rest of the day. I didn't allow myself to get a corn dog as a sort of penance, but I saved money, so it wasn't much of a penance. It didn't matter how awful I felt. Once you've hammered in a nail, no matter how hard you try to pull it out, you're going to leave a hole. Insults are the same way. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.